All right, welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Saturday, January 23rd, our Saturday special breaking news here on the Grand Solar Minimum channel. First, let's get into some space weather, because part of the reason why I'm doing tonight's broadcast is not so much of a I told you so, but I've really been lately wanting to stress the correlation between solar activity and moderate earthquakes. So tonight, our solar wind speeds are increasing to 401.6 kilometers per second with a density of 9.2. Now, we have three sunspots right now, AR 2797 and AR 2798. Also in the northwestern part of our star, which I'll show you here in a minute, we also have AR 2799. Now, that is the first sunspot that we've had in the northern region of our star for solar cycle 25. So usually it starts one hemisphere, then it moves up to the next, and then by the time we're at the max, you'll see what looks like two bands going across the sun at the 30 degree in the north and the south. And then by the time we get to the end of the cycle, that's where sunspot locations converge closer to the middle of the sun. But right now, AR 2799 is actually turning away from Earth facing. So let's go to thegrandsolarminimum.com and we'll take a look at that real fast here. I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as sunspots go. Let's zoom in on this. As always, all right, let's get the blue arrow. There you are. Okay, so this is, believe it or not, AR 2799. That is on the northwestern part of our star, and it is, yeah. So it's not quite yet breached the. Well, this is the western limb when it's no longer Earth visible. So this is AR 2799. AR 2798 and 97 are in this cluster region. This is not yet labeled. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens on this. It is pierced the northeastern part. This would be the second northern sunspot grouping that we would have in recent days if that becomes what we think. Now, the coronal hole that I was pointing out, this one right here, was Earth facing over here in the last broadcast. I have been, again, pointing out certain solar conditions. In that broadcast, we were at 0 and 1 for the KP indice. We had a very, nothing crazy coronal hole, but I've seen this in the past. And at the time of it being Earth facing, and we're talking about this one right here, which really has held up as far as its size. But I did call for a 48 to 72 hour watch for a moderate earthquake of 6.5 or higher. And it looks like that happened again. And I'm reporting on this for two reasons. Again, to not pat myself on the back and brag about the fact that I, put us out for a watch for a moderate earthquake. But there is correlations. I mean, look, I report on this. I want this to be clear. I am not an expert on Grand Solar Minimum. I report on Grand Solar Minimum. I rely on the experts for their information, and then I relay the message. I put it out there as I'm being taught and as I understand it. So in a way, what I'm trying to, and I guess it's kind of dumbing it down a little bit, but if I could call these, if I can tell you that there is a 24-hour to 72-hour watch period for a moderate earthquake or higher, surely anyone can pick this up. And it's all about understanding the solar connections and these moderate earthquakes. Now, I want to read from you really quick, or for you, I should say. in the book Upheaval from John Casey. And it says here, this next paper that he's getting ready to show in the book highlights the Sun-Earth connection, was a joint paper by Dr. Maslov and Dr. Choi. Both of these scientists had their peer-reviewed paper published in the New Concepts in Global Tectonics, Tectonics newsletter number 57, December of 2010. The newsletter became a journal. Even today, this thoroughly researched paper and its breadth of findings appear a special one in many ways. And it goes on to show an example here. The research examined earthquakes in the range of magnitude 5.0 to 5.9 and found what I have called the Choi-Maslov relationship. In effect, what was discovered was that there is an inverse relationship between moderate-sized quakes and the sun's activity level measured by sunspots. It is depicted in the chart below. And if you have upheaval, I'm reading on the PDF version. I'm on page 101 to find this example. But I want to stress this because I don't think there's enough people out there that go out on the limb and say that the sun is contributing to these seismic activities, earthquakes, volcanic, what have you. And they're not saying that sunspots are the cause, but once again, the indicator is sunspots. And I brought this up a little while back about sunspots. Do they cause warming? Do they cause cooling? And I think we're starting to understand that sunspots indicate what's happening with the activity on the sun and what it usually correlates with here on Earth. So here we are again. And like I said, I am no expert on this. I simply report. I'm a researcher myself. I rely on the experts to relay the message to you folks. And this is just based on the knowledge, the stuff that I've learned over the past several years. And I thought it was important to report on this tonight. So let's get to it. USGS now has downgraded this to a 6.9. But that wasn't the case earlier. This was actually rated a 7.3. Let me click on it real quick for you. Here you go. This is on NOAA. Let me see if I can zoom this in for you a little bit more. But we had a 7.3 event, 6 miles deep. Okay. This was as 6:36 p.m. Eastern Time. And also thought it was important to mention no tsunami threat to Hawaii after the 7.3 magnitude earthquake hit South Shetland Islands. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said there's no tsunami threat to Hawaii after the 7.3. There was some concern, I guess. And it happened around 1:37 p.m. Hawaii time on Saturday, January 23rd. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center says there's also no tsunami threat to the Caribbean coast from this earthquake. So the only thing that I'm happy to report about this expected moderate to strong earthquake is the location. The location of this earthquake, thankfully, is pretty remote. Nonetheless, we did have a 7.0 less than 48 hours after my broadcast on the 21st, Thursday night. And before that, I also had called out a few more moderate earthquakes, which did happen. But again, this is not about patting myself on the back here or giving myself credit. This is about trying to explain to you guys that there is a correlation. And then if people like myself who are just researching, like most of you out there, can understand and grasp that science, it's starting to make sense. You'll have that aha moment. And I'll tell you, if you're new to this topic, I highly recommend John Casey's book, Upheaval. It's a little on the pricey side, but this is very useful information. And the best part about it is if you buy the paperback, I have it downloaded on my phone and my other devices that are Apple. John gave me a copy of this before we interviewed him back in June of 2017, before he had his unfortunate medical situation. I can report now that he is recovering very well, but is also very retired and not looking any time of any type of reemergence to the scene as well. His health is his number one focus, and that was according to Adapt 2030, who spoke with him, I believe, a few months ago. So we wish John well, but at the same time, also, John's the foundation of the information that we communicate to you guys. So Upheaval has a ton of knowledge, a ton of information, and things that he wrote in 2017 that are already beginning to happen. And he wrote it years ago. So again, the book is worth it. And it helps you understand too. There's examples, there's papers. But the best thing about buying the paperback version of this is that this book will be here. If the internet goes down, the power grid goes down, that's fine. You have this paperback in your hands for the rest of your life. You know, if my phone gets hit in some kind of foreign geomagnetic storm and wipes my phone out or something, I don't have that book anymore. So, yeah, I think the price of it's kind of high, but at the same time, it's one of those things that it's an essential to have. You're going to be ready. You're not going to be caught with your pants down when the events start happening that are expected to happen over the next couple of decades. You know, and just like John Casey, Zarkova, both have predicted this to be around a 35 year cooling period starting now, moving forward through the 2050s. So lots to talk about with solar activity and earthquakes. And I just want to report on this breaking news here. And before we leave you tonight with this quick little update, I was going to show a little bit of weather, because I do think that GFS is trying to signal out something here for us in early February. Now, we have a decent system moving through the Southwest, picking up some steam across the Middle Plains states, heading into the Midwest. Mainly, this is going to be Detroit, Great Lakes, the Northern Great Lakes, Northern Indiana, and then Western New York possibly can get some decent snowfall from this. This is Tuesday. So the Mid-Atlantic gets a mix of snow and ice, and then all snow. And the thing about this storm track is now they've got the blue of this a lot more moderate, covering the entire state of New York. This storm was actually slated to just go through Pennsylvania, West Virginia, maybe northern North Carolina. Now this thing is shifted up. So again, I'm not expecting much from it. Maybe 1 to 3 for us, but this reminds me of the system setup that we had back in mid-December, when we were told 1 to 3 inches, and then we got 33 inches. So we'll have to keep a close eye on this, but there are more opportunities in the Northeast. And again, on the East Coast, here we are, January 28th, just 2 days later, we have a system that starts forming right below the Ohio Valley. Cold air is rushing in behind this system, so we are going to see snow for folks Southwest. Well, if I had to guess, in Ohio, if you're I-70 and south, you could see light snow on the 28th from this system. Nothing crazy, maybe 1 to 3 inches, but light snow. But if you live in Northeast Kentucky, West Virginia, prepare. You might have to be doing some pretty good shoveling here, especially parts of Northern Virginia. This storm is a quick hitter, though. It moves out before the end of the day on the 28th. So that will help keep snow totals down. But now the matter is, what is going to be the rate of snowfall per hour? How many inches are we going to see? Is it going to be 1, 2, maybe 3? Who knows? The system could produce that just looking outside here from today being the 23rd. Now, this is 6 days out. This is where I say you got to kind of take things for, a grain of salt after, say, day 7, which here day 7 showing pretty quiet weather pattern. Cold in the northeast and throughout the Great Lakes and northern plains, typical La Nina pattern right here. Things get a little bit more interesting as we head into February. There's a system moving in from the southwest going across the Ohio Valley as all rain, starting off as ice in Pennsylvania, changing into snow by the time it gets into the northeast. That's February 1st. That storm has potential to bring moderate to heavy snow in the northeast on February 1st. We get an atmospheric river of moisture in California into the Sierras, and they will continue to see heavy snowfall and rain throughout several days early into February before another system basically helps fuel the low pressure in front, moving it to the east quickly. And by February 4th, watch out northern plains states, northern Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois, and Michigan. Also, we got to watch for ice in Pennsylvania. This is Thursday, February 4th. Again, I'm only pointing this out because I've seen this in a couple of different runs, and I think GFS is trying to show us 2 storms for the 26th and the 28th, and possibly another 2-storm system on the 4th and the 6th. But here we are on February 4th, snow moving up into the northeast. This is a light event, but it is showing us that we are going to probably have some sort of a moderate to heavy snow event on the 4th. And then moving forward onto the 6th, there's that second backup storm right behind it. That one looks a little more potent, and I'm more concerned about that and watching how this one plays out. This one could be an old-fashioned nor'easter, and also indicating here on the 6th of February, look at parts of western Michigan, northeast Ohio, Erie, PA, and the south towns of Buffalo. Notice that we're going to be dealing with what I think, and well, not think, but no, winds are coming out of Canada. Colder air is also filtering. The lakes are not frozen, and this is a several-day lake event snow event because the temperatures are above average right now in the Great Lakes. And by February 8th, we have a pretty big system trying to organize again. So buckle up because we're going to see temperatures fluctuate too, but we're also going to see some cold temps as well. I think we get a little bit of a break here towards the end of January. This is, let's go backwards a little bit more. This is Sunday. There's your overnight lows for Saturday. Going into Sunday morning, most of the country looking in the 30s and 40s in the deep south, 50s and 60s by Monday. Cold still in the Great Lakes and the Northeast and the Northern Plain states. Even in the mountain Northwest as well, getting cold. And look at Canada, where we're starting to see that blast of cold Arctic air from one of the polar vortex. Again, nothing super impressive. These are typical January temps. But after the 29th, you'll notice that this cold air kind of retreats a little bit as we see a slight warm up in the southwest into the deep south. And February 1st, might see a little bit of mild temps to begin the month, but after that, the 3rd and the 4th, we will see that Arctic air returning to the north part of the United States. And that also pushes off any effort to get some, unusual high temperatures for like the Midwest or even the Ohio Valley. That cold Arctic air is spilling in from the Arctic and pretty much reaffirming that winter still in, this is a daytime highest right here. Talk about a drastic temperature swing for people in Louisiana, Mississippi. There's your daytime high. So after being in the 80s, 24 or 36 hours prior, you're looking at a high of 41 Atlanta. And then look out in the northern plain states. This is definitely going to be the coldest air that we have seen all winter invade the northern plain states. And then by February 8th, overnight lows. Look at this. This reaches, this is going to be the coldest we've seen in this region. So we still have plenty of winter to deal with. I've seen reports from Weather Channel talking about February being above average all over the country. But I tell you, there's only a couple of days in this forecast where it warms up a little bit for 3 to 5 days. And we're talking 60s and 70s in the deep south, 40s and 50s, Tennessee to northern Alabama and those areas. But the rest of the country is still pretty cold for winter standards. So it'd be interesting to see how January finishes for the UAH global temperatures. We had a huge drop from November to December. Will we see another drop in January? The way we've seen the cold this year, it's possible. Eurasia and Russia, Siberia, they have been drilled with some pretty brutal cold stuff. So, all right, folks, so that's going to do it for me tonight. Again, I just wanted to bring up the earthquake again. It has been downgraded, by the way, to a 6.9. Let's upgrade this. I also wanted to mention that if they hadn't have downgraded this, and it looks like the USGS is going to keep it at a 6.9 after initial reports of a 7.3, they are going to keep it downgraded all the way to a 6.9. Aftershocks have been around 4.9 and 5.0, slightly after the initial 6.9, which was initially reported at 7.3. Pardon me. But again, these earthquakes, the stronger ones, are definitely correlated with solar activity. There's paperwork to prove it, peer-reviewed journals. Get the book Upheaval. And maybe once we all start really understanding how this works, this relationship between seismic activity and our solar activity, I think it'll be easier to explain to people about grand solar minimum and solar cycles and climate cycles, and just everything will come together, especially explaining, Mount Tambora in 1815 and what happened after that. So, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you probably Monday night, maybe possibly Tuesday. I want to say hello to Dorothy Rose. Hello, Fish and Magician, my neighbor here up north. Arnold, good to see you. Knife Collector Ben Garcia, good to have you out here. Very Enthusiastic Gardener, hello there. Knife Collector, I already said. Rhea, hello. Richard, of course, I saw Matt Bros in here earlier, as always. Thank you very much to our loyal subscribers and also the new faces. Don't be shy out there. It's always good to see a good interactive chat, especially when people are sharing ideas about how to adapt and thrive in this modern grand solar minimum. That's going to do it for me tonight, folks. Again, have a great weekend, and we will talk soon.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.